Hello friends, Koolio here and welcome back to the channel. Today guys, I want to share with you my top 5 picks of the best gacha games of January 2020. Now the first month of the year has come and gone and we actually got quite a lot of new gacha games for us to play. However, they were sort of a mixed bag of games. There were some really fantastic ones and a lot of kind of generic or really just bland games. And so this list will be kind of divisive on that point. Now if you guys enjoy this video, if you guys want to see more videos like this, then please leave a like on the video. It helps out so much. I'd really appreciate it. And also consider subscribing to the channel if you're new here so that you can stay up to date in the latest in mobile gaming. Now before we get into the list, I do want to share with you guys sort of an honorable mention, and that's a game called Hunters and Puzzles. Now the game was available in early access in January, however it's not available as of right now as it's getting ready for its official launch. Now this game was sort of a combination of Bejeweled and Candy Crush meets Monster Hunter. Now I really didn't think that was going to work out or even be that fun, but surprisingly I had a lot of fun with the game. And it mainly came down to 2 different factors. The first one was its multi-tiered boss fights, that as you progress through these, I gotta say, pretty intense boss fights, the monster itself would actually change up its overall mechanics and its strategy, making it a more difficult experience, but overall a really fun experience. The other thing too was its progression for your characters. Specifically, as you would go through and you take down these behemoths, you would gather materials that you could then use to craft better and stronger weapons, just like in Monster Hunter. So even though the game isn't available right now, I actually hope that it globally launches pretty soon because it was a pretty fun, casual game to kind of play on the side. Okay, so now with that out of the way, let's get into our top 5 with the first one, our number 5 pick, being Black Clover Phantom Knights. Now I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I didn't really enjoy this game that much, but I wanted to include it on this list because it was kind of one of the bigger, more major releases in January. Now the combat in this game kind of reminds me of Brown Dust, but not as intricate. But it does have a pretty interesting formation system where you have 2 different formations that you can swap between, and depending on the formations that you would use, you would get specific buffs. So it would require you to kind of pay attention to the fight and understand when you would want to switch formations to kind of alleviate the fight into your advantage. Now the visuals of the game were one of my bigger problems with the game, because honestly it looked like it should have belonged on like a PS2. Now the game really isn't that old. It released over in the East I think a year and a half ago, and we finally got the English one in January, and so it's honestly kind of surprising on how old the game looks, including on top of that the UI and some of the visual elements, even like summoning, was a really clunky experience. Now I do want to say, if you are a big fan of the anime, you may enjoy this game, but if you are a big fan of the anime, you may also hate this game. Okay, coming in at number 4, we have Bane. Now this is another fairly older looking game, but it does have some pretty nice 2D character designs. However, the 3D models and even the environments during combat kind of look outdated. Now, if you are a fan of games like King's Raid, you may really enjoy this game because the combat system in this game is very similar to that. However, the overall tone of Bane is a more darker fantasy. Now, I actually really like that about this game. We get a lot of happy, colorful fantasy type games that come out for gacha games, so it's kind of nice to get a more darker toned fantasy game with Bane. Now coming in at number 3, we have Calibria Crystal Guardians. Now this is a pretty generic game, but it's very similar to a game called Summoner's Wars, one of the most popular gacha games out there. Now when I first started playing this game and I was doing a little bit of research, kind of talking to the community and stuff, I ended up finding out a lot of people really enjoyed the game because of its distinction or its likeness to games like Summoner's War. However, a lot of the different mechanics that you find in Summoner's War that some people find kind of frustrating or tedious are completely removed in Calibria Crystal Guardians. So a lot of the community that started playing this game were like, hey, this is kind of like Summoner's War, but with a lot of those tedious, a lot of those boring, or a lot of those outdated mechanics kind of taken away, and people started really enjoying it. Now, even though the game is pretty generic, it was honestly a lot of fun to play. It had the same tried and true turn-based combat system, some generic, again, visuals, but overall was a decent experience. Okay, coming in at number 2, we have Mob Psycho 100 Psychic Battles. Now, I really enjoy this game, and I honestly didn't think I was. Now, I haven't seen the anime, and I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, Koolio, what in the world? You haven't seen the anime yet? But I gotta say, even though I lacked knowledge on the anime and the manga, I really enjoyed this game. It was hilarious, it was colorful, it was vibrant, it was rewarding to play, the animations were a ton of fun, the combat was a blast, and I think people who are fans of the anime are really going to like this game. However, I do want to say I'm a little disappointed in the fact that this game isn't as popular as I thought it was going to be. It really doesn't have that big of a community right now. Not a lot of people are downloading it, and it actually makes me kind of sad. So hopefully with this video, I do recommend you guys to go and check out Mob Psycho 100 because it was a pretty good gacha game, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it if you invested a little bit of time into it. Now, coming in at our #1 spot, and I think everybody knew what it was going to be, and that is Arknights. Now, I think there were two main reasons why this game was so incredibly popular, and how the hype didn't kill the game, it really boosted the game up and eventually became one of the most successful games in the last couple of weeks. Like, everybody's talking about this game. Now, those two things have to be: one, it's beautiful art. This is a well-polished, beautiful game with a pretty unique art style. There are games that kind of look like this and have that similar art style, but it really just stands out from the competition. The other thing is its refreshing gameplay. A lot of gacha games want to go for that 5 versus 5 turn-based combat system, but with Arknights, we got a tower defense game where you use a lot of different units. And again, such a refreshing gameplay, and a lot of the different stages and a lot of different events that go on in the game are actually quite challenging. And I think us as gacha gamers, we want that challenge. We want to be able to experience and play our game and not just heavily rely on auto gameplay. Now, this is one of those games that it is a perfect time to jump into. It has a loving and a massive player base. Like, that player base is growing ever so much every single day. And honestly, I see the game literally everywhere. So you guys go. Those were my top 5 picks for January. Let me know down below your thoughts on these games. Any games that stood out to you guys in January, again, let me know down below in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and also subscribe to stay up to date in the latest in mobile gaming. Okay, friends, I'll see you next time.